Have you ever had a moment in life that shattered everything you thought you knew? For me, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon. The kind of day when nothing feels urgent, when time drags with the weight of memories you can't escape. I remember giving a few dollars to a woman outside a coffee shop. Her hair messy, her coat tore at the sleeves, her eyes unforgettable. I didn't expect her to say thank you, but she did, softly, gently, like it cost her something to speak. I didn't think twice about it. I went on with my day. And then, the very next morning, I saw her again. But this time, she was kneeling at Emily's grave, crying, praying, whispering her name like she'd lost a piece of herself too. I stood frozen, a lump rising in my throat. My hands clenched. My heart, it did something it hadn't done in years. It raced. Who was she? How did she know Emily? And why was she crying like she belonged in our story? That single moment, a woman I'd seen once, mourning the love of my life, would unravel everything I thought I knew about my past and about myself. My name is Richard Lawson. I'm a millionaire, a man who has everything, except the one thing that mattered. And this is the story of how a beggar showed me the truth about the woman I loved and the family I never knew I had. If I'd known then what I know now, I would have knelt beside her at that grave, not stare from a distance. But life doesn't give you warnings. It just gives you moments. And some of them change everything. Some people think money can fill the empty places inside you. They don't know the truth. I wake up every morning in a king-size bed that feels like a grave. Egyptian cotton sheets, climate control, and silence. An eerie, polished silence that follows me like a shadow. My mansion sits on a hill above the city. From my balcony, I can see everything. Yet I feel completely unseen. It's been 5 years since Emily died, and still, I live like she's about to walk through the door. Her side of the bed remains untouched. Her teacup sits beside mine in the kitchen. There are photos, framed moments frozen in time, but I don't look at them anymore. I can't. People call me successful. The press writes about my companies, my investments, the charities I support. They call me generous, brilliant, a visionary. But none of that matters when the only name you want to hear is gone. I go through the motions. Quarterly meetings, charity galas, lunch with old business partners, all with the same numb expression. I speak when required. I smile when expected. But it's all mechanical, empty. Grief has a way of hollowing you out slowly. You don't feel it happen. You just notice one day that you're a shell, breathing, walking, existing, but not living. On Sundays, I visit her grave. Always alone. Always the same ritual. Black tulips, her favorite. A folded note. Sometimes, just words I never got to say. And silence. She died in a car accident. No warning. No goodbyes. Just a phone call that broke the world in half. I still remember what the doctor said. She never felt a thing, but I did, every second since. It was a Saturday afternoon when I saw her, the woman who would change everything. I was walking out of the coffee shop on 6th Street, my usual stop before the bookstore. The sky was cloudy, the wind sharp, and there she was, sitting on the sidewalk near the trash bins. Her coat was 2 sizes too big. Her hands were wrapped in thin, dirty gloves. She wasn't holding a sign. She wasn't begging. Just sitting there, staring at the ground like it was the only thing that hadn't betrayed her. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was her eyes, wide, dark, distant, or the way she pulled the coat tighter, like she didn't want to be seen. I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out a few folded bills. It wasn't much, but I crouched down and handed it to her. "You don't have to say anything," I muttered, embarrassed by my own awkwardness. But she looked up, just for a second, and said, "Thank you." Her voice cracked, like it hadn't been used in days, maybe weeks, and then she looked away. That was it. A few dollars, a few seconds. I walked away, thinking I'd never see her again. The next morning was Sunday, grave day. I took the same drive, parked in the same spot, walked the same path through Willow Grove Cemetery. Row 3, stone 12. Emily Rose Monroe, you are loved beyond words and missed beyond measure. I was ready to kneel, ready to speak to stone like I always did. But someone was already there. Her, the woman from the street. She was on her knees, tears running down her face, her fingers touching the cold marble like it hurt to let go. "Emily," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know where else to go." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The air turned to glass. How did she know Emily's name? How did she know this grave? I took a step forward. My shoes crunched the fallen leaves beneath me. She turned slowly, her face pale, eyes red. Recognition flickered between us. She remembered me from the coffee shop. For a second, neither of us spoke, just stood in that strange, fragile silence. Then she stood up and said, "You don't understand, but I promise, I didn't come to steal. I came to remember." I wanted to ask her everything, but all I could manage was, "Who are you?" She didn't answer, just looked down, then walked past me, head lowered, coat flapping the wind, and disappeared down the gravel path. I stared at Emily's grave, my heart thudding in my chest. Who was that woman? And what did she mean? I came to remember. For the first time in years, the past wasn't the only ghost haunting me. I didn't sleep that night. I kept pacing through my living room, the echo of her voice replaying in my head. I came to remember. The stranger from the street. The same woman crying at Emily's grave. That wasn't coincidence. That was history knocking at my door. And I had no idea which door had been left open. By morning, I'd made my decision. I had to find her. I had to know. Not just for me. For Emily. I didn't know her name, but I knew where I'd seen her last. I drove to 6th Street, parked near the same cafe, and waited. Hours passed. The sun burned away the early fog. I watched strangers walk by. I kept asking myself if I was being foolish, chasing shadows, chasing ghosts. But then I saw her. Same oversized coat, same tired eyes. She was digging through a trash can near the alley, her hands trembling. I got out of the car, walked toward her. She didn't see me until I spoke. "Hey!" She froze, looked up, her lips parted slightly. "You again," she said, almost like it hurt to say it. "I need to talk to you," I said. She stared at me, expression guarded. "Why?" "Because you were at Emily Monroe's grave yesterday," I said, "and I want to know why." There it was. The truth dropped like a hammer. Her lips quivered. She blinked slowly, then nodded. "Not here," she whispered. We sat at a park bench a few blocks away. It was quiet, shaded, private. "I'm Sophie," she said finally, staring at the pigeons instead of me. "Sophie Monroe." Her last name hit me like a slap. "Monroe?" I leaned forward. Emily's last name was Monroe. She nodded. "I don't understand." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I never came before." I stared at her, heart pounding. "What are you saying?" She turned her head and looked me directly in the eyes. "I'm Emily's daughter." The world stilled, the wind died. The traffic sounds in the distance faded into silence. All I could hear was the rush of blood in my ears. "You're what?" I whispered. Her voice didn't shake. "Emily was my mom." "No, that can't be. She never told me she had a child. Not once. Not in all the years we were together. She had me before she met you," Sophie said. "When she was just 19. She got pregnant. The father left. She dropped out of college and lived with my aunt until she got back on her feet. Then she met you." I shook my head. No. We were together for 7 years. I would have known." "She wanted to tell you," Sophie said, her voice finally breaking. "She always wanted to, but she was scared. She said you had enough on your plate. The company, the pressure, the press. She didn't want to complicate your life." I couldn't breathe. It felt like someone had set fire in my lungs. "She lied to me," I said, voice low. "She didn't lie," Sophie said quietly. "She protected you, and she protected me." I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "By pretending you didn't exist?" "She didn't pretend," Sophie snapped, her first real show of emotion. "She just postponed the truth." I stood up, pacing. My hands were shaking. Do you have any proof of this? I asked. Photos? A birth certificate? Anything. She pulled something from the inner pocket of her coat. A letter. Folded, yellowed, wrinkled with time. She wrote this for you, Sophie said. She just never sent it. I took it with trembling fingers. I didn't open it. Not yet. Not in front of her. I was afraid of what would confirm or destroy. We sat in silence for a while. Finally, I asked, why now? Why show up at the grave 5 years later? She looked down. Because I lost everything. My aunt passed. I was trying to survive. I never wanted to meet you this way. Begging on the street, humiliated, hungry. I didn't come to you for money. I didn't even come to be found. I just want to feel close to her again. I stared at her. My mind was spinning with questions, with pain, with guilt. I looked at her face. There were pieces of Emily in her. The chin, the shape of her eyes, the quiet strength. And suddenly, I was overwhelmed. Grief, anger, a deep sense of betrayal. I stood up. I need time. She didn't fight it, just nodded. I'm not asking for anything, she said. I just thought you deserved to know. I walked away, letter in hand, heart on fire. That night, I sat at my kitchen table and opened the letter. My dearest Richard, if you're reading this, it means I never found the courage to tell you myself. And for that, I am so sorry. Before I met you, I was a different person. A scared girl with too many scars and not enough hope. Sophie came into my life at the darkest time. She saved me before you did. But I was afraid you wouldn't love me the same way if you knew that the life we were building might change, that I'd lose you. And now, I've lost a chance to be honest. Please, if you ever find Sophie, don't turn away. She's a good person, better than I ever was. And she needs family. You were my greatest love, Richard. I'm sorry I didn't give you the whole truth. I hope someday you'll forgive me. Emily. I sat there for hours, staring at the letter. Everything I thought I knew about Emily, everything I believed about our time together, had a shadow behind it, a truth unspoken, a daughter hidden. I didn't know what to feel, but I knew this. My life had just changed, and the story wasn't over yet. I didn't call Sophie for 3 days. I told myself I needed time. Time to process. Time to think. But truthfully, I was afraid. Afraid of what her presence meant. Afraid of the mirror she held up to the life I thought I knew. Emily had a daughter, and that daughter had lived a life I knew nothing about. In the shadows, in struggle, in silence. All while I grieved for a woman I thought had given me everything. But she hadn't. She'd given me love. Yes, but not truth. And now I was left staring at a fractured picture of a life I once worshipped. On the 4th day, I called her. She answered on the 2nd ring. There was no hesitation in her voice, just quiet acceptance, like she knew I would come eventually. Can we talk? I asked. Of course, she said. We met at a public library, neutral, quiet, no memories. She sat at a table in the back, a cup of lukewarm tea between her hands. Her coat looked even more threadbare than before. I wondered when she last had a hot shower or a decent meal. But I also noticed something else. Strength. The kind that doesn't shout. It endures. I read the letter. I said, sitting across from her. She nodded slowly. I figured you would. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, she replied gently. But I did. I needed to. My anger was a knot I hadn't untied yet. She should have told me. I said, I would have loved you, accepted you. I would have... But you don't know that, she interrupted softly. You say that now, but maybe she feared you wouldn't. Maybe she couldn't risk losing you. I clenched my jaw. Do you really think I was that shallow? I don't know, she admitted. I only know what she told me. I looked away, trying to control the storm rising in me. She built a life with me, I said, and yet there was this whole other part of her she never let me see. A daughter. A life before me. What does that say about our relationship? It says she was human, Sophie said, and scared, and flawed. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She wasn't begging for money or pity or attention. She just wanted to be seen. Why didn't she keep you with her? I asked. She thought I'd be safer with my aunt, Sophie said. Emily didn't feel stable back then. She was rebuilding, trying to start over. She used to say she wanted to be someone I could be proud of, someone who could love someone like you without dragging him down. I swallowed the lump in my throat. She never dragged me down. I whispered. She thought she might, Sophie said, and that fear lived inside her forever. There was a pause. Then Sophie leaned forward. I know I wasn't part of the plan, she said. I know I'm a reminder of something you never asked for, but I'm not here to ruin your life, Richard. I just wanted to know who you were. The man my mother loved. The man she kept a letter for, even when she was dying. Her voice cracked on the last word, and something in me cracked with it. Dying. I asked, heart racing. Emily didn't die instantly? Sophie shook her head slowly. The crash was bad, but she was still alive when they pulled her out. They got her to the hospital. But the internal bleeding... She paused, took a shaky breath. She only had a few hours. My aunt got there in time. She said Emily kept asking for you. But the nurses said you already left. They couldn't find you. I felt like the ground had dropped out from under me. No one had told me that. No one had told me she'd suffered, that she'd asked for me. All these years, I believed she died instantly. I never knew she spent her final hours asking for the man who wasn't there. A wave of guilt swept over me. Heavy, crushing. I should have been there, I whispered. I should have. You didn't know, Sophie said gently. You can't blame yourself for what no one told you. I covered my face with both hands. I hadn't cried in years, not even at the funeral. But now, here, in a dusty library with a stranger who was my blood, I broke. Sophie sat in silence. She didn't touch me, didn't interrupt, just let me grieve. When I finally looked up, my voice was hoarse. Why are you still here? I asked. Why keep trying to connect with someone who had no idea you existed? Her answer was simple. Because I wanted to know where I came from, she said. And I hoped, just hoped, that maybe I wasn't completely alone. That night, I sat by my fireplace with a glass of whiskey and Emily's letter beside me. I thought about how much I had loved her, how much I still did. I thought about the kind of man I wanted to be, the kind I used to be before grief turned me cold. And I thought about Sophie, the daughter I never asked for, but somehow needed more than I realized. The next day, I called her. There's something else I need to know, I said. What's that? You said you came to Emily's grave to remember. I said, but you also said you lost everything. Are you really alone? There was a pause. Then came the answer that would change everything again. No, she said quietly. I'm not alone. I have a son. Sophie's words haunted me. She used to sing to me every night, even when she was hungry. I couldn't sleep. That night, I found myself sitting in Emily's old room, our shared memories echoing from the walls. I opened the dusty drawer of her nightstand, a place I hadn't dared to touch since the funeral, and inside it, I found something I'd never seen before, a worn-out leather journal, Emily's handwriting. I flipped it open, and my heart stopped. April 4th, I can't tell him. If I tell Richard, he'll try to fix it. But this isn't something money can fix. What wasn't I supposed to fix? May 22nd, I found out today I'm going to be a mom. I'm scared, but when I saw her on the screen, I knew she was real. I named her Sophie already. Sophie, my fingers trembled. July 17th. I won't let her grow up in my world. She deserves better than a man who only lives in boardrooms and bank balances. I love him, but I need to leave him. For her. She left me to protect Sophie. My whole world spun. I sat there for hours, reading every torn, tear-stained page. Letters she never sent me. Apologies she never spoke. Love she buried beneath fear. Emily hadn't cheated. She hadn't betrayed me. She had protected me in the only way she knew how. The next morning, I went back to the shelter. I waited outside until Sophie appeared. This time, I didn't stop her. I knelt in front of her. "Your mother," I said, voice breaking, "she loved you, and she loved me too. I just didn't know how much until last night." She looked confused, guarded. "Why are you here again?" "Because I need to know everything. Please, tell me what you remember about her, the real her." For the first time, her shoulders dropped, and she sat down beside me. "She used to hum this lullaby every night," Sophie whispered, eyes softening. "Even when we were in the cold, even when she was sick, she never stopped singing. That's how I knew she loved me." I closed my eyes. I'd heard that lullaby before, in our apartment, on nights we used to dance slowly, in silence. Sophie didn't just have her eyes. She had her soul, and for the first time, I felt it. She was my daughter. No DNA test needed. Just truth. And guilt. So much guilt. I don't remember everything. I told him. But I remember enough to know she was suffering. We were in a small, moldy room. I was hungry. I tugged on Mom's shirt. She smiled and gave me her only slice of bread. I didn't know until years later. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. I asked her why we didn't have a car like the others. She laughed it off, said cars were too slow. But that night, I heard her coughing in the dark, and the umbrella had holes. I cried while she pretended everything was fine. I listened, each word punching through my chest like glass. She had suffered alone, and I'd been living in a penthouse, thinking she'd abandoned me. I'd sit behind the counter and draw while she served coffee. Some nights, customers would leave without paying, but Mom never complained. She just whispered, "Tomorrow will be better, sweetie. I promise." But tomorrow never got better. She sold her wedding ring once, she said, to buy me a coat. Richard froze. My ring, the one I thought she discarded. I remember seeing her cry once, Sophie whispered. She thought I was asleep. I looked down, my fists clenched. She never stopped loving me. She just thought she wasn't enough for me anymore. And I never looked for the truth. I was there when she collapsed, Sophie said, at the bus station. She was taking me to a new shelter, said it was safer. She paused. She smiled at me one last time and said, "Be strong. You're the best part of me." And then she was gone. I couldn't breathe. That final sentence, "You're the best part of me," it echoed in my soul. That was the woman I loved. She didn't leave me. She left to give our daughter a chance to survive. I reached out and held Sophie's hand. "I wasn't there when you lost her," I said, my voice shaking. "But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." She didn't say anything, but she didn't pull her hand away either. And that was enough for now. I didn't cry easily, but watching Richard, the man I called stranger just days ago, stand before the world and speak my mother's name with such love, it shook something in me. I had spent my entire life believing I was unwanted, believing I was a mistake. But suddenly, I wasn't visible anymore. I clutched my mother's scarf. It still smelled like her, lavender and old bookstores. She used to say, "One day, you'll find someone who'll fight for you." I never thought she meant my father. We had nothing. She worked 3 jobs. She skipped meals so I could eat. But she always smiled when I asked about my dad. "He's far away, sweetheart," she'd whisper. "But you have me." Now I knew why she never said more. She was protecting me from heartbreak, from the truth. "I don't know what to feel," I said. Jamie frowned. "You just found out your dad isn't deadbeat trash. He's a billionaire who actually cared. That's intense. But it's not that simple. He didn't look for us. Not until now." Jamie placed a hand on mine. Maybe he was broken too. Like you. Inside were photos Emily kept hidden. One was of her and Richard, smiling. Another was a letter, unopened, from Richard, dated years ago. Hands shaking, I unfolded it. "Emily, I don't know what happened. You vanished and it's killing me. I've searched every corner of the city, but no one's seen you. Please come back, or at least tell me you're alive. I love you. I always will." My throat tightened. He had searched for us. Someone had kept us apart, on purpose. I tried to say it. Hi, it's Sophie. I saw your press conference. I saw you. Delete. I want to meet. Delete. I'm not ready. Delete. I didn't know what to say. What could you say to a man who was your father and a stranger? I met him. I whispered. He cried for you, Mom. A breeze brushed my cheek. I don't know if I can forgive him, but I think I want to try. Tears rolled down. I miss you. I wish you could see this. See me. I placed the scarf on the grave. It was time to stop running. The wall I built for years was starting to crack, and for the first time since losing her, I wasn't running from the past. I was walking toward it. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at my phone, rereading Richard's letter again and again. The man I had cursed for years. He had been broken too, by a lie neither of us understood. It took everything in me to walk through that gate. A part of me still wanted to run, but another part, the part that missed having someone call me their own, kept me moving forward. The security guard stared at me like I was a ghost. Name? Sophie. His eyes widened. One moment, ma'am. She's here. Richard asked, breathless. Yes, sir. She's waiting in the foyer. He paused. For a man who conquered boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, he suddenly looked terrified. Bring her in. We both froze. No words. Just silence. He looked older than the man in the photo, but his eyes, they were mine. Sophie, he breathed, like saying my name hurt and healed him at once. I didn't respond. I didn't know how. I know I don't deserve this moment, but I've dreamed of it every day since you were born. I swallowed hard. You didn't even know me. His voice cracked. I wanted to. I begged your mother to come back. I searched. I hired detectives. No one found you. She just disappeared. She was scared, I said softly. She was protecting me. The image haunted me. How scared she must have been. Richard sat down slowly, as if the weight of the years finally broke him. She wrote me one last time, and then vanished. I never knew why. I found your letter. I whispered. He blinked. In a shoebox. She kept everything. Tears welled in his eyes. She loved you, Richard. She never stopped, but someone kept us apart. We sat there, two broken halves of the same story. Finally, I asked, why now? Why the press conference? He smiled sadly, because I gave up looking. But I never gave up hoping. I wanted the world to know I had a daughter, even if I never found her. I just wanted you to know that I never stopped loving you. My walls crumbled. I looked at him, not as the billionaire, not as a stranger, but as the man who lost as much as I did. And I did something I never thought I'd do. I sat beside him, and I let him hold my hand. It felt like peace. I don't know if I can call you Dad yet. I whispered. His grip tightened gently. You can call me whatever you want. Just don't disappear. The past was messy. The future was unclear. But for the first time, we were together, and that was enough. Just when I thought things were finally starting to make sense, everything shattered again. For a few weeks, I stayed with Richard. We were cautious, not calling each other dad or daughter yet, but there was warmth, real warmth. Late night tea talks, walks around the estate, quiet apologies, but something felt off. He wasn't there, but his computer screen was glowing, open, unlocked. I knew I shouldn't look, but curiosity whispered louder than my conscience. There it was, one that made my blood freeze. My mother's ex-fiancé, the same man who disappeared from our lives right before she died, the same man who always insisted Richard abandoned us. What was Richard doing looking into him? Why now? And why was there an entire folder labeled fraud, lies, motive? Never trust men who want to own your story, Sophie. They'll twist it until even you forget who you are. I opened the folder. Emails, transactions, private investigators' notes. Mark wasn't just a bitter ex. He had been manipulating everything. You were investigating Mark Ellis? I asked. He looked up, startled, but not guilty. Yes. Ever since I saw your mother's name linked to him, I had my doubts for years. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to plant poison in your head without proof. I tossed the file on the table. You found proof. He'd intercepted letters Richard had sent Emily. He'd posed as a concerned friend and fed lies to her about Richard's intentions. He even forged legal threats, pretending they were from Richard's lawyers, to scare her into leaving town. My head spun. Mark had stolen our entire life from us. How could one man carry so much venom? He didn't just break a heart. He broke a family. He ruined my mother's final years. And I'd spent my whole life hating the wrong person. I'm sorry, Sophie. I failed you. I should have found you sooner. I should have pushed harder. You did enough, I said quietly. You didn't stop hoping. That's more than most would have done. I couldn't let Mark get away with it. Not after what he did to my mother, and certainly not after trying to erase my existence. I started digging too. More emails, more records, and then I found the final blow. A fund transfer from one of Richard's companies, falsified. The money trail led to Mark. He stole from us, framed me, and he's still out there. I nodded. We need to expose him. But this time, it wasn't about hope. It was about truth. We revealed everything. Every lie, every forgery, every stolen year. The media exploded. And Mark? He vanished. My mother died thinking she was protecting me, but she was tricked. She loved a man who never stopped loving her back. And to anyone watching, never let someone else write your story. I didn't come here for revenge. I came here for answers. But sometimes, the truth is the greatest form of justice. And I had just begun writing the rest of my life. For me, for her, for us. Mark Ellis was gone, vanished like a shadow. No trace, no voice, just silence. But his silence was louder than anything he could have said. The world finally saw the truth. And for the first time, so did I. I used to dream of moments like this, Richard said quietly, looking up at the pink sky. Not the press, not the drama, just this, sitting beside you, watching the day end as father and daughter. I smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because something had healed in me, something I never thought could. I had gone alone. The truth burned in my chest, but I needed to tell her everything, not because she didn't know, but because I needed to say it. Mom, you were wrong about him, but I know why, and I don't blame you. I love you. I forgive you. And I miss you every day. It was old, scratched, but it still sang. I left a note inside the bench. To the kid who feels unheard. Play your story into the world. Make them listen. It felt like letting go, not of her memory, but of the pain. Remember, it's never too late to heal, never too late to forgive, and never too late to begin again.